What's happening, guys? Welcome back to another YouTube video. I have a Q&A here anyway. We're going to do a Q&A today. I have all the questions listed out on my phone. I was going to do this on my own there last week, but since I'm here now with Darragh, I said we'll just both of us will do them and we'll both run through them. So we'll both give our opinion on each question, I suppose, and just go from there. So yeah, we'll just get straight into it, I suppose. The first question, how did you get into bodybuilding? Do you want to go first with this one?
Yeah, so I got into bodybuilding, I suppose, like most people get into bodybuilding, just starting off wanting to go to the gym, wanting to get a little bit bigger, wanting to get a six-pack for the girls or whatever. And I think at the time as well, I was like 16 when all of my friends would have been like 18, so all my friends were much older than me. And obviously when you're at that age, the discrepancy in like size is kind of much bigger, do you know, when you're still kind of like in puberty and stuff like that. So all my friends were like way bigger than me, and I was always quite small and skinny when I was in school. And I took a year out before I went to college. All my friends went off to college, so I had loads of free time in my hands. Just started going to the gym, and literally, I'd say within like 6 months, I kind of stopped doing it for like girls and, you know, getting a six-pack and all, and I started just kind of doing it for myself really. And I kind of went more so from trying to impress girls to like trying to be the biggest lad in the gym sort of, and impressing lads. And what you'll find is like when you get into the gym, you know, you'll expect like all the girls to be flocking and giving you attention, when actually it's just like, oh, lads, you look sick, honest, bro. You know, it's the lads that kind of actually give you the most attention.
Just trying to impress other lads.
Exactly. So I remember in my gym there was like a picture of like Steve Cook, and he was like holding like an Optimum Nutrition like protein tub, and like, because that's what they sold at my gym at the time. And I remember looking at him and thinking like, oh, I want to look like that. And I remember like at that time as well, Steve Cook, I think, was like competing in like Olympias and stuff, and I was like, I'd love to do that someday. Like, I'd love to hop on stage. And that was only when I was like 17. And then when I was like 18, I started following like proper bodybuilding, like Kai Green, Phil Heath, all that. And that sort of stuff at the time, I was like, I never want to look like that. I never want to be that big. But I was like, oh, I might do a men's physique show or something. And then as the years kind of progress and you start to get bigger, and I think the bigger you get, the smaller you realise you actually are. You know, the more you get into bodybuilding. Like, I thought I was huge after like 6 months of going to the gym when I was like 17, and now like I think I'm a very small bodybuilder, but that's always going to be the way. So yeah, I got into it just to kind of get a little bit bigger, impress the girls at first, and then eventually it just kind of transitioned into wanting to just improve my physique constantly all the time and step on stage. I didn't actually step on stage for like 6 years, 7 years after that, but that's why Owen's in a good position, because he's doing it early. And I think, you know, you can probably say that it's really like lit the flame for you now to keep going. So how did you get into bodybuilding?
I literally was always just kind of training, maybe from like 15, 16 when I was playing GA. We just like in the GA club down in Killa, we just literally go into the gym and like fuck around the odd time in the gym. And then like maybe when I was 17, I'd say, going on 17, I just ended up kind of like getting a few injuries with GA, and then I had to go to the gym for them injuries. And then eventually I just kind of started to become more obsessed with the gym than GA, and my passion for the gym just like took over. And then I was just playing so much fucking GA like non-stop for like years that I just kind of got sick of it. And then I just decided in the final year of school, like going into 6th year, to just quit GA, and I just started going to the gym. And like initially when I did that, to go to the gym and just like do that full time, I didn't actually do it for bodybuilding. I was just like, I just enjoyed the gym. So I just kind of wanted to do that full time, put my full effort into that. And then like a year or two then, like after maybe like I joined the first proper gym at 17, and then maybe like a year after that, for the first year I was just kind of training away, but then the more I did it, the more like bodybuilding started to take over, and I like started following more bodybuilders, and I just got more and more obsessed with it. And then like, yeah, the last 2 years I kind of knew I wanted to like do competitive bodybuilding then, and yeah, it just brought me to here now. So it was kind of weird. It was just for most of you that watching this probably know I was just like proper guy a few years ago who like played for Cork and shit, but then that just kind of fell out in love with that, started training. The more I trained, the more like I just kept getting more and more into actual bodybuilding rather than like the fitness influencer side. And then just kind of took over from there, and then I just decided to do my first show then this year.
Yeah, that was actually very similar to me. Like, I would have been playing GA all through the years as well. And like, my dad is like a massive like GA man, and he's like the secretary of the club. He's still the secretary of the club back home. So like, he always wanted me to be like playing football and stuff like that. And I remember when I was playing like minor football and like under 21, like all the like selectors and coaches like loved me because I was like big and I was like, you know, strong and I was like fit. But then I'd go to training and I could be like, you know, doing suicides or running around the pitch and like my lower back would be at me like, oh, that must have been those deadlifts I was doing earlier. And then it was almost like the GA training was like taken away from my gym and I was kind of just like, and I was in college and I was like going back in the middle of the week for GA training and I was like, this isn't worth it, because we were going out in championship and getting hammered by commercials and I was just like, nah, this isn't for me. And I think I realised that like I liked the individual side of things better than maybe team sports, because no matter how much effort you put in yourself, if you're training and you're playing GA or whatever, you can still show up and lose a game because everybody else will be putting in the same amount of effort as you. Whereas bodybuilding, it's a very like, you know, you get out what you put in sort of an endeavour. So that really appealed to me.
Next one, I suppose, what's your long-term bodybuilding goal? So for me, well, I'd be lying if it wasn't a pro, like IFBB pro. But like I know I'm still so fucking early on. I haven't even done my first show, like 3 days out now to my first show. So like I know I'm still so young and so new to it. So like some people might be saying, oh, you didn't do your first show, you're fucking done with being a pro. But like realistically, that is the goal at the end of the day. And not just to turn pro, but be a good pro at a high level as well. And like time will tell. 3-4 years down the line, I'll know if I'm able to get there or not. And if I can't, I can't. If I can, I can. But like realistically, that's the goal, and I do think I'll be able to achieve it as well.
Yeah, I definitely.
It'll just take a lot of time.
I definitely think you've massive potential. I mean, like everybody else said to you when we're over in Ross's and you were posing, like the shape and the structure and the lines are there. Like when I say lines, I mean like the separation and the definition and the insertions, like in your physique. Like a lot of people have very blurred lines or there's not much detail there or anything like that. But you have that, and like that's just genetic. Like you're either born with that or you're not. So I feel like the blueprint is there. You just need to spend the time putting in the work.
On the size now.
And like you even see a lot of guys who maybe early on they didn't show that like structural or genetic potential, but they put in the work for, you know, 6, 8, 10 years and they turn pro. So like you don't actually really even know if you have the potential to turn pro until you put in at least 6 to 8 years of work.
And not just 6 to 8 years of like actual training, like 6 years of proper 100% bodybuilding adherence.
Yeah.
Like there's a difference between just going to gym for 6 years and like bodybuilding for 6 years.
Yeah, exactly. And like I'm at the stage now, like I kind of said to you, where I did my first show and I took things very seriously like the year before that and the whole lead up to it. Did my first show and now like I'm 2 years into my off season and I'll be competing this time next year, so there'll be 3 years between shows. And like I know I've been putting in a lot of effort, so like the results of my next season will kind of be very telling for me whether I have the potential to like, you know, go to the next level. Like if I'm showing up and I'm like placing outside the top 3, I'm just gonna be like, maybe it's not gonna happen. But
what's your long-term goal?
Obviously my long-term goal is to turn pro as well. And I think I'm not thinking about anything like beyond pro yet. Like I'm not thinking like, oh, I'm gonna get to the Olympia, I'm gonna be like the best pro or whatever.
There's levels
like,
to it. Like
pro is literally just my goal now, and like that's a long-term goal for me. And like I'm thinking like I'm even thinking for me like that's like a 6 year away thing. Yeah. You know, like that's how long I kind of have it in my mind, because in 6 years I'll be like 32. If I don't have it at that stage, I'm just going to call it off. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, that's my goal, obviously. And we both have very similar goals, and we both kind of want to take it, I suppose, as far as we can, you know.
Next question, I suppose. What do you think is the biggest misunderstanding is to people not involved in bodybuilding? You can take this one first. So.
I think it's probably like people on the outside looking in think bodybuilding is just like full of narcissists, like egomaniacs, people who just like love themselves and stuff. But
that's what I was going to say.
A lot of the bodybuilders that like I actually know, a lot of the good bodybuilders that I actually know who bodybuild like properly and who actually love it, they're actually like not massive narcissists at all.
They're just nearly the opposite.
They're nearly the opposite of that. They're like really like driven, some of them like super intelligent, like smart people. And like people just look at bodybuilders like, oh, big, scary, like veiny, like men and women, and they just take a load of drugs and whatever. But like the misconception is that like people just take a load of drugs and they look like that. Like the amount of discipline and hard work and dedication it takes to become a top level bodybuilder that people just look at and just like, you know, pass to the side as like, you know, a fucking junkie or whatever. That's probably the biggest kind of misunderstanding people have about it. Like, people on the outside looking in, it is a very niche sport and it's a weird sport. Why would you want to go on stage in like a thong or whatever? But when you're in bodybuilding, you're in that circle and you see how like driven and motivated everyone is and how much that like brings everybody else who's involved in it up. It's just unreal, man. You know, I've never seen any other sort of support in any other sort of sport, because even when I play team sports, it's almost like everyone's kind of like bitter or jealous or just like envious of each other, not really supporting each other, or like, oh, he's a shit player, he's a good player, or this and that. And, you know, everyone's kind of at each other's throats instead of like being, you know, part of like a team or pushing each other on to be better.
Definitely.
So, yeah.
But yeah, that's more or less the exact same. Exact same answer I was going to give. Really, like, a lot of time when people look at like people on stage, or like the very general population, it'd be like the first thing, like a lot of like people from home now, be like, oh, what about you're gonna have to like get tanned up and oiled up and all this. But like, that's not what we bodybuild for, really. At the end of the day, like, I'm not why I bodybuild isn't to get tanned up and get oiled up. It's every single day, like the lifestyle part of it that you love, like eating your meals, the training mainly, like the actual lifestyle of it is what's so obsessed. At the end of the day, just stepping on stage is just like something to work towards. Isn't it? That's not really like the main obsession. And like the main thing as well as other than that is just the way like people think there's a lot of like ego, and you do it just because you want other people to look at you this way. But like, it's actually, most people are actually the opposite, because like a lot of bodybuilders are actually like very introverted people. Yeah. So like, they're actually doing it purely for themselves and like no one else. And that's what people don't really realise. And like, you see a lot of times as well, people, if they look like a bodybuilder in the gym, especially like the older, bigger guys, they're like very to themselves in the gym, and they like might come off like as arrogant and stuff, but that's just because they're so like focused and introverted and stuff like.
And I think people kind of get a little bit like misconstrued, because there is kind of like almost like a new era, or new generation of like bodybuilders who are literally just people on Instagram doing it for social validation. You know, like, not just female, but like male as well. People who are just chasing clout, chasing likes, because in a lead up to a competition, right, you're going to have a load of people messaging you, being like, oh my god, like, this is unreal, like, fair play, like, I wish I could be as motivated like you're so disciplined, blah blah blah. And like, people love getting that attention, you know, loads of likes, loads of comments on their posts and stuff like that. But then when that fades away and they go into an off season, they're not feeling themselves, they can't commit to that phase, and they just, you know, get fat for a couple of months, feel depressed, and then they just decide, oh, I'm going to jump into another prep, and then they look the exact same the next time they step on stage and they have no added muscle. Like, those people aren't like proper like bodybuilders. So
there's loads of them, but they fade off. They'll always fade off.
Yeah, they fade off.
What is the thing that makes you train when your brain is talking you out of it? Like, to be honest, it's just fucking, I love training and I love pushing myself to failure, so I can understand where someone's coming from this side of it. But for me, like just for example, like the end of prep, or like the last few sessions, I did feel that, where you're like feeling like shit and you've no energy, you don't want to like put in the effort, like, but because I love it so much and I have such a strong goal and passion towards bodybuilding, I know I want to step on stage and be the absolute best I can. It's just easy for me to give the absolute most in every single set, because that's just what I love doing, and the main thing I love is training, so it's easy to push myself. But then I think it's just, if your goals are strong enough, you can just kind of fucking push yourself and do it, because this David Goggins fucking inspiration here, which is like, stop listening to your inner bitch, basically.
When
like, everyone has an inner bitch, it's just whether you give in to it or not, like. And when you're going to have to suffer, like, so just don't give in to that inner bitch that's talking, that inner voice that's basically telling you stop, just don't listen to it.
I said this in our last podcast that we recorded that hasn't live yet as well. It's like David Goggins always says, when you think you're done, you're only really at 40%. And I love that, because like, you actually are, like, if you push yourself, like, it's there. I think the mind will probably stop before the body actually does, and where the mind goes, the body will follow. So if your goal and your why and your drive to be the best on stage is strong enough, then you will do it. And it's like, even at like a smaller level, like, even if you're just getting prepared for a holiday, you just want to be in shape for like Ibiza with the girls in the summer or something like that, like, you will push yourself through those training sessions and you'll eat all your food and all, if you actually want to be in shape. But like, your why actually has to be like very strong. And like, when a client signs up with me, I always like try and get to that like why, you know, and
That's
ask
the
them on a
first thing I ask in a consultation call.
It's like,
I asked her why. Yeah.
what do you want to do? It's like, oh, I want to get in shape. Well, why do you want to get to shape? And you'll dig a little bit deeper, and it's like, oh, because I'm at Ibiza and all my friends want to get a photo and I don't want to get in a photo because like I don't feel like I fit my clothes or XYZ.
Yeah.
And then like, if you're in the gym and you're feeling like not pushing through your session, like think back to those pain points. Think like, if I don't do this, you know, I'm going to be the fat one in Ibiza again this year. You know, and if you really don't want that to be the case, then you'll find the extra bit of gas, you know.
Another saying trained by JP's, actions reflect your wants. It's literally as simple as that. If you fucking want something, you're just going to do it. It's simple. If you don't do it, then you clearly don't want it bad enough. It's literally as simple as that.
Yeah.
Favourite clothes?
All I wear these days are like bodybuilding and gym clothes, and it's so bad.
Just Gasper, JP.
Yeah. It's so bad because like I worked in River Island for 5 years. I worked in Tommy Hilfiger for 4 months, and I remember like my whole way through college, I was always decked out in clothes, always wearing like jeans, shirts, like, you know, Chelsea boots and stuff like that. Like I always dressed really smart and really formal. And now, like, because obviously I'm a little bit bigger and no normal clothes fit me, like I just wear gym clothes all the time. But yeah, I love Gasp because it's such high quality and it's good. JP, and then outside of that, just Nike. Like you won't catch me like rocking much Adidas. It's like all Nike. So
yeah, if I was to pick bodybuilding clothes, definitely Gasp. I don't have a lot of it, but definitely Gasp. It's like the best quality, and it's the fit of it as well. And then literally outside that, just Nike as well, to be honest. Most of my clothes are Nike, really.
Yeah, Nike's king.
Did you ever experience any mental health issues? Mine was just kind of mainly like more anxiety than anything, and this was mainly the start of like 6th year, so like 2 or 3 years ago now, and then like throughout all of lockdown as well. So I definitely had like bad anxiety for a while, and this was like, yeah, so literally the very start of 6th year, like a few things happened, and then I went into lockdown then as well, and I isolated myself completely for like the whole lockdown. For like 2 years I was just like on my own, and I didn't really talk to anyone about it as much as I should have, to be honest, which I wouldn't really recommend. Obviously I would recommend talking about it, but at the same time, because I was just in my own head for 2 years, I came out of it like completely fucking different, because I was able to like do it myself and like actually delve into my own mind for so long, and I came out like a stronger person. But that was kind of the main thing, really. Other than that, I've been fine. Like I've been perfect really since. Yeah,
obviously like everybody has their ups and downs throughout their life, and there's certainly been times in my life where I've been more anxious, and like I don't want to like throw depression out there, because obviously like serious depression is a very bad thing, and obviously I've had times in my life where I think I have actually been like depressed, but only for a very short period of time. Like it's never been chronic, it's just been acute, you know. Like if something bad happens, you go through a bad breakup and you're depressed for 3 months, and then you're grand after that. But you know, like you just said there, I think that like time to yourself to process your thoughts is very important. Like it's good to talk to people, but sometimes you have to kind of sit with your own thoughts and kind of block out all the noise, and maybe just go for a walk and listen to some music and think through all your thoughts and think through why you're thinking them, and try and sort yourself out a little bit instead of just brushing everything under the rug. But everybody, I think, in this day and age experiences some sort of anxiety or some sort of, you know, depressive episodes.
That's just the way society is now. Like
every now and
has
again.
it.
Yeah, and a lot of it is probably driven by, you know, social media and comparison and all these other sort of things. But don't let it like completely cripple you. Like if you have like a normal routine, you know, you normally get up in the morning, you do XYZ, you go to work, you go to the gym or whatever. If you're feeling anxious, you're feeling depressed, don't like sack off everything else that's going on in your life. Like even if you feel like shit, if you force yourself to exercise, like that's going to make you feel better. You know, if you don't like eat shit food all the time, you're saying, look, I'm just going to try and keep eating healthy. I'm going to still go outside. I'm not just going to like lie in my room under my blanket and just feel depressed. Like the action of like doing stuff will eventually make you feel better. And like, if you don't do it, you're just going to feel more depressed. If you do it, it's going to mitigate it a small bit. You might still be a little bit depressed or anxious, but nowhere near as bad as if you just were in your feelings and just felt sorry for yourself all the time. So I think that's important as well.
Yeah, but yeah, routine is definitely the main thing that helps with this, really, to be honest. And like I think another big thing is obviously talking to people about what you're experiencing is going to help drastically as well. But I also do think getting to know yourself and like realising like what's causing that to yourself, and like learning your own mind is a big thing. So like, I can't remember like the exact saying, But it's like a biggest man's problem, or like most of a man's problem, comes when he can't sit in a room on his own.
Yeah.
Because if you can't enjoy your own time, then you can't really control your own thoughts, and that's the biggest issue.
Yeah.
You should be able to. I'm like big on this, that you should be able to spend like a full day to yourself and like enjoy being alone. And if you can't, that's generally where a lot of the issues come from.
Yeah, and a lot of the time in my life where I was anxious, like if you're getting anxious, right, that's your body telling you that kind of there's something in your life that you're not doing, or there's something like wrong, or there's something amiss. And even like when I used to be like in college, say, and I used to be getting anxious, it's probably because in the back of my mind I knew I had, let's say, exams in 6 weeks, but I knew I wasn't studying for them. I knew I was going out sessioning and drinking the whole time when I shouldn't have been. And if you actually like sit down and just like think about all the things that you're doing that you probably shouldn't be doing, you'll get the answers to them very quickly. And if you just stop doing those things, I can guarantee you that's going to help your anxious feelings like a lot.
Next one, I suppose, what are the main places you want to travel to? So, just everyone has so many places, but America, without a doubt, I 100% want. Just so much places in America I want to go to. If we're talking like bodybuilding wise, then Texas. I fucking want to go to Texas so badly, because bodybuilding over there is like huge, like in like destination Dallas, and then just the environment of bodybuilding over there, and like the culture, and like then just like the lifestyle over there, the food and the places, and then outside of that, like Asia would be class to go to. I want to do like a full road trip of America someday as well, where you literally drive the full thing, that like from top to bottom, like both sides, maybe east and west. South America, there's a lot of like national parks there that'd be class to see as well. To be fair, you could fucking go on forever.
You would, yeah. I remember as well, like before I kind of started properly bodybuilding, like I had all these grand plans to travel as well. You know, I was going to do Thailand for like 2 months. I was going to do this and I was going to do that. But I think when I actually made the decision to fully commit myself to bodybuilding, and I think this isn't something that people actually take into consideration when they start fucking sticking a needle in their arse, is that like if you're bodybuilding, you kind of have a limit on like how long you can go traveling for or whatever. Like I couldn't just rock up to Asia and travel for like 2 months. Like even if I brought my gear with me, like my diet, my training would be shit, would be subpar for 2 months. And like, especially when you get to a certain size, it's very hard to hold that size. So if you're fucking around, you're only kind of going to go backwards, you know? And even when like I was over in Croatia recently for 2 weeks, and I was like, oh, I need this break, I need this holiday or whatever. And I thought I'd actually enjoy it a lot more than I did. Like when I got there after like a week, I was like, I just want my routine, because like I enjoy my life and my lifestyle so much now. Yeah. When I got back, I was like, that wasn't as cracked up as it was, as I thought it would be. Like, so I feel like any travel I kind of do now for as long as I'm bodybuilding is going to be bodybuilding related. And I think if I, you know, retire from bodybuilding when I'm fucking, I don't know, 35 or something like that, I think then I might do those mad trips and stuff. And I know you're probably thinking, geez, 35, that's very, you know, old to be rocking off to Asia and stuff. But like, if I think about it, like, what would I get more enjoyment and more fulfillment out of now? Like, just getting the most out of bodybuilding I could, or just like traveling? And I think for me, it's going to be the bodybuilding. Like for somebody else, like, how can you just like sit in your apartment all week and go to the gym and whatever, when you could be off traveling in Asia, or you could be off doing this and that? I just think, look, whatever makes you happy. Some people might not understand it, but you know, each to their own. I'm lucky that I kind of have done America. I was in America for 10 weeks, and like that was incredible. Don't get me wrong, best experience of my life. But I wouldn't mentally be able to kind of do it now, because I'd be, you know, I'm kind of shackled to bodybuilding in a way. But yeah, I'd definitely go to America at some stage, if you can make it a bodybuilding trip too. Like I'm going to the Olympia now in December, so like that's going to be some experience. That's going to be sick. It helps it's in Vegas as well, so like you're kind of getting the best of both worlds there. That's going to be savage. So yeah, that's another thing as well. But like, want to come back to that question of like the long-term goal in bodybuilding. If you do get that like high level, like there can be a lot of travel in bodybuilding as well, because like when you've like contracts and you're like known and you're a pro, like you could be traveling to so much different countries and like all over America. And then even when you're prepping as well, you can do shows in Europe, shows in America. Yeah, like there's so much different travel you can do as well. It opens up more doors for opportunity. Like even like a lot of people who are watching this video probably follow Josh Bridgman as well. Yeah. And like if anyone's followed his journey for probably as long as we have, like you'll see this year was his first year as a pro. He did like 3 shows over in the US, and like he did a lot of traveling over there. Like, he looked like he had an incredible time. Like, you know, he went to Alpha Land in Houston. Now he's signed with Alpha Elite as a result. You know what I mean?
In Tampa and Florida.
He's in Tampa, Florida. Like,
training with Ian Flair and everything.
He's training with
so
Ian Flair.
Yeah.
Like, all the stuff that just happened just as a result of him, like, going to these pro shows and networking with people and stuff like that. And, like, now that he has that kind of little bit of a network over there, it's like the next time he goes for, you know, a pro, like, show or a pro season, again, there's just gonna be so many more opportunities and things that are gonna pop up for him. And I think if you can get all the way in bodybuilding, like, that will happen. And something like I always think about as well, Olin, is that, like, bodybuilding is still, like, very, very young in Ireland. Like, there's no Cuba or Cal in Ireland. You know what I mean?
The culture of bodybuilding, there isn't really a proper culture of bodybuilding.
Like, I always think there's a huge opportunity for somebody like that in Ireland. And, like, I'm not saying I'm like Cuba or Cal or whatever, but I feel like if I could do fairly well and actually build a proper bodybuilding career for myself and, like, you know, maybe move back home in the future and open up a gym or something like that, if you're that guy, like,
and you're that known,
like, you're one of the only guys in your own country that's, like, at that level. And again, like, that will, like, have so many opportunities for you as well, you know.
Ideal cheat meal. I'm not like we were talking about this earlier actually. I don't really, like, have a lot of cheat meals, to be honest. Like, even before I started bodybuilding, I was always, like, very healthy with my diet. When I was playing, like, and stuff, I was always very, very health conscious since I was young. But if I was to, I'm the basic enough fucking pizza, but not just like a random like 4-star pizza. I'd love like a proper stone baked pizza with pepperoni
style one
and jalapenos. Pepperoni jalapenos every time. And then, like, garlic mayo as well, but again, not like a 4-star garlic mayo, like a proper, like, restaurant garlic mayo with, like, stone baked pizzas go to. It's unreal.
Yeah.
That'd be my, but, like, if I wouldn't have that often as a cheat meal, then, like, that would be, like, rarely enough.
Yeah.
But that's probably my favourite food, to be honest.
Yeah, I do absolutely love sushi, but the only thing that kills me about
I've
sushi
never tried sushi.
Is it's so fucking expensive. Like, even if you get reasonably priced sushi, like, you'll eat it and it'll still be, like, moreish, like, you'll still want more of it. And even with reasonably priced sushi, like, it'll probably cost you, like, £40 minimum, and, like, you won't get, like, a super big feed. So, like, if money was no object, like, sushi all day. But I do absolutely love a Nando's, because again, I feel like for what I actually eat myself, like, you know, I eat a lot of chicken and rice. Nando's, you can get chicken rice and you can get a few chips, you know, and it's, like, very kind of similar, but, like, way nicer, obviously, than what you cook at home. Because oftentimes I'll go for an off-plan meal and, like, I'll just eat it and I'll just be like, I actually wish I had my chicken and rice that I made myself at home, because it's nicer and it didn't cost me, like, fucking £20. So
if I was talking outside of just, like, a random takeaway, because, to be honest, what I would do most time when I do have a cheat meal, I don't just go for, like, a shitty takeaway. I prefer, like, I'm a proper fucking food person, so I'd go to, like, a nice restaurant. I'd be getting, like, a starter with prawns pill. It's like prawns, it's unreal fucking hell. So dipped in with, like garlic and olive oil and stuff, and you get, like, garlic bread then as well, dipping in with it. It's unreal. And then, like, a nice steak with sweet potato fries.
Do you ever go to
maybe, like, a brownie for dessert or something?
Do you ever go to Donatello's in Middleton? No, that chipper.
Yeah,
that's actually nice. They do, like, steak baguettes and stuff. I remember getting a steak.
Never tried that.
I remember I got a steak baguette there once and it was banging. So yeah.
Next one, I suppose. Biggest pet peeve in the gym.
Remember, I did the stories on these, and there was a lot of them. There was a lot of them. God, and my biggest one, I don't know what it is. One thing I absolutely hate, right? And it's only because I've been training in gyms in Ireland for so long. Like, when I used to be, like, training in commercial gyms and, like, leisure centre gyms in Ireland and stuff, is, like, people not realising it's a fucking gym. Like, if you don't like people, you know, having chalk on the barbells, or people, you know, dropping weights or slamming weights or making noise or any of those things, obviously, like, within reason, if you're fucking screaming the place down on every single rep of a set, like, you're just a fucking dope, right? But, like, little grunts here and there, or people training hard or banging weights or whatever, like, don't go to a fucking gym if you're afraid about that. Just go play golf or something. You know, like, a gym is a gym. Weights are going to bang. You know, there's going to be chalk in places and shit like that.
That's why I hate, like,
people are going to have their shoes off if they're deadlifting. Like, I used to get told all the time in a gym in Clonmel, put your shoes back on. I could be in the squat rack and, like, put your shoes back on. And I'd be like, what?
That's why I hate, like, proper, like, commercial gyms.
Yeah.
Where it's, like, you know, like, women doing classes and, like, you can't even, like, they're, like, not allowed to play certain music in the gym and everything. Like, fuck that. Yeah. Outside that, I think it's just when I think maybe people are on their phone in a set or during between sets, but they're taking the piss. Like, fair enough, you're on your phone to change music or like logbook or something. But when you're on the phone, you're waiting for machine and someone's sitting there like 5 minutes texting.
People just arsing around, or like big groups of girls or big groups of lads talking around machines and stuff. And
like before in Extreme in Waterford, I swear to fuck, it was a girl doing leg extensions
on the phone. I've seen that. I've seen
literally doing the machine.
I've seen a woman literally online shopping on Michael Kors for handbags, doing leg extensions in Clonmel, and I was just like, "What are you doing?"
I wanted to go over and just be like, "Just fuck off."
Yeah.
Best words to describe yourself?
Oh, extreme.
I'd be a confident introvert and very passionate and like 100% or nothing.
Yeah, I would say extreme. I would say disciplined. I'd probably say ambitious to a certain degree, you know, because like if I think about like values and what's very important to me, like discipline and ambition are like up there at the top. But then I do think I'm a very extreme person, sometimes to my detriment. Like even with small things, like not just like bodybuilding or being extreme with my diet or training, but like just being extreme with like weird little things.
Perfectionist as well as perfectionism, which is a bit fucking good and bad. Are you nervous for your first show? I am and I amn't. Like, I'm a lot better than I thought I'd be. Like, because I think the reason why I am a lot more calmer than I'm not calm. That's a lie. I'm not. I do get fucking anxious about it. But like, the reason why I'm better than I thought I'd be is because I've done like everything I literally could have done. Like, I didn't miss 1 minute of cardio, didn't go under steps once, hit every single training session, every single set in every single training session, gave it everything. Didn't go off plan once, literally didn't put, I think the whole prep I had like a crumb of a protein bar that Emily had to taste, like not like literally like a crumb. That's the only thing I put in my mouth that wasn't on the meal plan the whole prep.
Yeah.
And like, I've just done everything Darragh told me to do throughout the whole thing. So I know going on stage, like I couldn't have done anything more.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of just removed the nervous part of it. But like, I do obviously have doubt this week, and like especially when I'm here, I get stressed very easy as well. So I come like stressing out like random little things and stuff. But again, I think that's normal. So
yeah, definitely normal. Like self-doubt as a competitor, no matter what level you're at. Like I'm even sure Chris Bumstead has self-doubt when he's walking out and he's hot and he's getting on stage. You know what I mean? And while he might be confident on the outside, like there's definitely an element of But I've spoken about this before. I think like self-doubt and self-belief, you almost need a healthy balance of both, right? Because if you just have a ton of self-belief and you're absolutely deluded in yourself and you're just like never even following a plan and you just think you're God's gift, you're not going to get anywhere. But then if you're like crippled in self-doubt and don't believe in yourself, again, you're not really going to get anywhere. So you kind of have to have that like self-belief to know that, look, I'm just going to, no matter how I feel, no matter how much doubt I have, I'm just going to do everything in my power to be the best person I can be. And it's like that self-doubt almost just kind of drives you on and almost drives your self-belief in a little way. So
you have to have belief, 100%, but a bit of self-doubt is positive as well, because that drives you on as well, like knowing you want to beat that self-doubt. Is it better to have an arm day rather than just doing them at the end of push and pull? This is like completely person dependent. This isn't going to come down to like yes or no. It completely depends on the person and their strong points. If you're doing push and pull for push pull leg variation split for ages and your arms are a lagging body part, then it would be worth throwing in something like an arm and delt day into that rotation. So you could do like push pull rest, arms and delts, legs rest for an example, or you could just literally do push pull rest, arms, legs rest.
Yeah, and I think the first thing you need to consider is like training intensity and execution
before,
because like oftentimes like if you have a weak lagging body part, like it's just your execution that could be the issue, you know, like with certain body parts. Like my chest was lagging for ages, and that's just because I used to just bench loads and I used to just move the weight from A to B, whereas now my pressing is very controlled, and you know, I'm not trying to lift the heaviest weight possible, but I'm trying to like feel every single portion of that rep, and that's helped me grow my chest massively. And like I have an arm day in now, but that's only because like when I was with Kuba at the start, like I was just on a push-pull leg split, and it wasn't until like ages that we were doing that split, he ran through execution of all my movements with me. I was sending them execution clips back and forth. We nailed down execution for certain areas. And then it's like over time, he can see like, oh, your quads are like blowing up, and you know, your arms and your chest are kind of lagging behind a little bit. And then that's when I added in like a chest and arm day. And even now with the chest and arm day in there, my legs and my back are still blowing up, and my arms are kind of still lagging behind. But you know, before, if you're new to the gym, like you don't need a specialized split. No. Like you don't. Like you just need to train hard. Like upper lower is fine for a couple of years. As you get more advanced, that's when, you know, specificity comes into play. But you know, just execution and intensity. Intensity is the biggest one, because like until you probably train with someone who actually fucking trains properly hard to failure, you're not really going to know where your failure is. You know, when your muscles start burning, they start hurting. That's not when you drop. That's not when you drop the weight. Everybody thinks that's that. I see that all the time.
So much clients send across videos after doing training and like they've got 5 reps left. I'm like,
yeah.
That's where you're not making progress.
Exactly. Yeah.
But another thing with that is, if just say for example, come back to the arms. If arms is your weak point, just throwing in, like to touch on what Darragh said, just throwing in an extra arm day, if your arm is a weak point, isn't going to do anything if you're already shit at doing your arms.
Yeah.
So like doing more shit and more shit isn't going to do anything. So that's why looking at your execution first. Execution is always number one. From there, look at intensity. Once you perfect your execution, look at how intense you're performing that movement. Then you can start adding in frequency. If you're doing like poor execution and you're not training intense, adding in another day of poor execution and poor intensity isn't going to do anything.
Yeah.
Whereas if you improve your intensity and your accuracy, adding in another day of more intent and accuracy will bring it up.
Yeah.
So they're the first things you need to allocate first before you look at adding in another day.
Yeah, and I think where you kind of put things in your program and in your session can kind of be important too, because me and Olin were talking about the other day how for the both of us, like we both have strong legs and particularly strong quads, and I think that comes down to like, I absolutely love training legs and like the intensity I get in my leg sessions, and also the connection I get through my quads. Like we spoke about this, like Olin said he could do one set of quads, right, all out, and like that would nearly be enough for him because he feels so fried after it. He can connect so well with his quads and he can train to failure. So like you have to build up that skill with your other body parts. And an important thing as well, and like you often see people who have lagging body parts and they're the smaller isolation type body parts, like your arms, you know, your rear delts, for example, like calves. Now they're kind of very genetic as well. But like if you're, if you're constantly like just tagging your arms on at the end of your session, right? And you're after doing a load of work, let's say you did 2 chest exercises, presses, you did a shoulder press, whatever. And at the end of the workout, you're beat up and you're just like
half-arsing arms.
Half-arsing your dual row push downs.
That's what most people do with calves.
And whatever.
At the very end of a leg day, bang out 3 shitty set of calves and wonder why their calves aren't growing.
Like his calves look great now in prep, but that's because I put calves at the very start of his leg
day. That way when they're first, I can just absolutely smash my calves.
They're fresh.
And it makes such a big difference.
When I had some, like when I was just doing push-pull legs, and I was like, the Kuba, look, I need to work on my arms, I need to bring them up. He actually put on my leg days 2 sets of biceps and 2 sets of triceps at the start of my leg workout. So I went into the gym super fresh. I did the biceps, I could train really hard, really intensely to failure, and then I'd go on and do my leg session, and like that didn't affect my leg session whatsoever. But if I was doing like leg press and hack squats and whatever, I'd go to do arms at the end of that session.
You'd be fucked.
And I'd be fucked. So you kind of have to be smart with your programming as well. But like, look, if you're watching this and you're fucking 17 and you've only been training a year,
this is too much detail.
Don't just throw arms at the start of your leg day and think they're going to grow. Just execution and intensity. You know, watch our YouTube videos and you'll know. Biggest
turn off. That's all it says. So I presume it means biggest turn off of a person or like people.
Go on.
I think for me is just by far the biggest one is just when like there's just a group of people and it's just their chat is conversations of other people. I think that's my biggest turn off, to be honest. It's just like they're literally all their conversations is just talking about other people, and it's just so negative and all about drama all the time, and you never hear them talk like praise each other, like helping breed each other up, or like it's just always chatting shit about other people and like negative drama, and just I think that's my biggest turn off. That's why
if you find yourself in a circle of people like that, just
that's why I'm very weird about who I'm around and like who I'm close to, because like I fucking very little like small group of friends, to be honest, because like a lot of people
you're better off doing it like that, man. You're better off doing it like that. I think for me, one of my like biggest turn offs in a person, and like this isn't just like turn off in a female, it's like male and female, it's when people don't like look after themselves. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I feel like you have to look after yourself, and like self-care is like self-discipline. Do you know what I mean? Like if you never exercise, if you're constantly eating a shit diet, and if you don't care that you never exercise and you don't care that you eat a shit diet, and then you're unhappy with like how you look and how you feel, you know, you need to look inside and take some ownership and accountability for yourself. And like I hate when people just don't have the ability to do that or the self-awareness to do that. You need to look after yourself, you know? Like doing exercise regularly doesn't have to be the gym. Like maybe you run, or maybe you're into cycling or whatever, swimming, it doesn't really matter. But looking after yourself, you know, taking care in your appearance and stuff as well, you know, and hygiene and like all those other sort of things. Like just fucking take care of yourself. Do you know what I mean? And when people don't take care of themselves, that really bothers me. When you're just lazy about things, I'm just like, ugh, you know, I don't want to be around this person.
If you could only do 5 exercises for the rest of your life, what would they be? That's so hard to answer.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Are you looking at this as pure enjoyment, or like, what could you get the most out of?
I'm going to look at it as both, because like if I had to do 5 exercises for the rest of my life, I'd want to make sure I'm covering all bases, and not just like, cause I'd probably pick like 3 leg exercises if that was the case, and then I'd just be going around with massive legs and just a small upper body. So, oh god, yeah, and I'd probably end up picking an exercise like I haven't done for ages. Like, definitely go on.
I'd probably go. I've like 2 I know. Like, like definitely a squat variation of some sort, whether it be barbell or hack squat or something. So a squat variation, probably like a hack squat, to be honest. I think an incline dumbbell press. I think a chest supported row of some sort. Oh fuck, I don't know after that.
I'd probably say like a leg press, like that Atlantis pivot press. I could do that every day for the rest of my life. Like a leg press would definitely be up there. I have to say a deadlift as well, to be honest, even though I don't deadlift that much anymore, but you're covering a lot of bases there.
It's hard to pick whether you're going pure enjoyment or what you get the most out of.
Yeah. Like, probably like a barbell overhead press as well. Fucking love that shit. I used to do that for years.
Yeah, I think literally it would be incline dumbbell press, a chest supported row, some sort of shoulder variation, like a Smith machine press maybe.
Yeah.
A Smith machine shoulder press, a leg press, and a hack squat.
I'd probably put incline dumbbell in mine as well.
Yeah.
The barbell overhead press, incline dumbbell, leg press. Yeah, deadlift. Maybe even leg extensions. I love the burn off. I know, I love the burn off the leg extensions. Fuck. It's all I really like a hip thrust as well. That's such a hard one. Yeah. It's such a hard one.
Favourite muscle group to train and why? Mine is definitely fucking legs.
We answered that already, yeah.
Legs, definitely. Yeah. And why is just because, in my opinion, leg training is bodybuilding.
Because it's hard.
And it's just hard as fuck. Yeah. And you have to push yourself so much mentally that like it's just like the most mentally taxing thing ever, that you could just have to go to another place.
You separate the men from the boys. Like if you look at the physique and you see shit legs and a big upper body, like you know,
a good question, a good thing I've seen before, I think it was trained by JP said it. It's like how to know if someone trains hard, and he's literally on it was Q&A. He goes, look at their legs.
Yeah.
If someone has decent legs, you know they train fucking hard, and that's why most people just bitch out of legs, because it's fucking hard, literally.
And when that lactic acid is filling up in your quads when you're doing a leg press, and I think that's another one as well, where your point of failure actually is on legs, I believe is like so far beyond other exercises. Because I think I spoke about this maybe to you before. It's like when you're doing an incline dumbbell press, right? Starts burning maybe last 2 reps, and then all of a sudden you can't get that up. But your legs have so much more endurance than that. And if you're on a leg press, you know, you can take a good bit of a pause and you can bang out another rep or 2, and you could pause for another one and you can bang out another rep or 2. It's like you almost can't really do that on like an incline dumbbell press.
Like, it's a lot different to training upper body.
You can push yourself so hard.
Because when you're pressing, you're done. You literally can't move. Legs, there's a lot more there.
Yeah.
Favorite bodybuilder and why? You go first.
It's a tough one, isn't it?
I've like so many I can't really pick.
I have like favorite bodybuilders from like their like training methodology and personality and stuff. Like we spoke about Justin Shire.
I'd split personality up and my physique.
And then physique, I think physique is such a tough one, but I think for me, maybe at the moment Darragh Lunsford would be up there. Love Darragh Lunsford's physique. It's just so symmetrical. For me, like that is what bodybuilding is. Like he hits that vacuum, tiny waist, big lats, big arms, striate glutes and hamstrings. He just looks fucking immense. I just love that look. I think it's incredible. Yeah, Derek Lunsford would be one of my favourite physiques. And then when it comes to like actual like bodybuilders and like their methodology and stuff, I do quite like Justin Shire and Ian Vellier, because like they train low volume, high intensity like us. You know, they're not that broad. They'll focus on form and execution with the intensity. You know what I mean? So yeah, I really like the two of them.
If I was going physique wise, there's so fucking
so many, isn't there?
So hard to pick. I think coming up a newer pro is Justin Shire again. I think his physique is fucking so good.
Yeah.
He's still like a smaller, open bodybuilder. So he's still like a young pro, but it's because he's like, he has the size, but he also has like the shape and an aesthetics as well. Because a lot of open guys lose the aesthetics, but he has like such nice lines while he's also has the size. He looks fucking savage, and from personality standpoint. And then I think other personality, maybe like James Hollingshead as well.
Yeah.
I just fucking love his personality.
Very philosophical and deep. I absolutely love Hunter Labrada as well, but he's like watching paint dry. I love his physique, but he's such a boring bastard. But his physique, I think, is incredible, because again, it's like the mass and aesthetics. He just needs like a better abs, and then he'd be. But yeah, I still think he's going to shock people again this year. I think he could do very well. And
in general, just all the people on Food Ads podcast, to be honest, they're all fucking. That's literally all I watch. Every time I'm eating a meal, I just throw on that podcast. If bodybuilding wasn't in the picture, what other career path would you see yourself taking? Fuck.
Well, like, I was an accountant for 3 years, and I feel like I'd probably still be doing that if it wasn't for bodybuilding. And it was only because, like, before I even went to college, I did commerce in college, and then I did 3 years of accounting exams and worked as an accountant after that. And before I went to college, like, obviously I took that year out, like I mentioned earlier, and I was training in the gym and stuff. And I had loads of kind of people, some family members and friends say, oh, would you ever do personal training or anything like that? And at the time I thought, like, there's no money in that. You know what I mean? And I didn't really want to be like in the gym, like PTing people, like one-to-one. Like, that doesn't really appeal to me. So I was like, nah, I'm not going to do that. And like, you know, all my kind of like aunts and uncles and cousins and all, they're kind of very successful and stuff. I'll go to college, I'll get a corporate job, I'll climb the ladder, etc. And then when I got into it, I realised, like, fuck this, I hate like taking orders from other people. Like, I felt like I hated secondary school. Then I went into college. You've loads of freedom, everything's up to you, personal responsibility, and I absolutely loved that because I was fully autonomous. And I went back into the corporate world after college, and I felt like I was back in school. Like, I felt like my managers were like my teachers in secondary school. Genuinely, that's how like patronising some of them can be. And it just kind of wore away at me over time. And then I was doing a lot of stuff that like I didn't particularly see the value in. Like, you're just fucking checking boxes and just pressing buttons and just stupid tasks. And I was putting in loads of hours of overtime, and I was like, fuck this. And like, I started the online coaching on the side, and like, that was like a hobby and that was a passion, and I wanted to help people, and I wanted to kind of like people who, like, I was in their shoes like 7-8 years ago, just starting off in the gym or didn't know any knowledge or guidance. Like, I want to get people to be as into bodybuilding and the gym as I'm into it. Like, that's like my mission and my goal, to get people to see how good of a lifestyle this can actually be for you. And I think when I kind of like started doing that, I realized like, oh, like, I can actually fucking make money out of this, and I'm like much happier. And then like, I left that job to do that. But like, if I didn't have that there, like, I had nothing to facilitate me making money. So I probably would have just stayed in that job that I didn't like. And that happens to like 80-90% of people. They're just stuck in this job and they don't know what to do. And then they might have no hobbies outside of work.
Yeah, from a business standpoint, I'd just be working for myself, no matter what sort. I don't know what business would be outside of coaching, but if I wasn't coaching, but it would just still be working for myself, because I cannot stand working for other people. I have to have my own like freedom and my own structure, and like take my own orders. I just fucking hate like working around other people. I don't know what it would be, but it'd just be my own business. And then outside that, like, if it wasn't bodybuilding, I think I'd still be doing some sort of competitive sport, I think, because I don't think I'd ever not be like training like an athlete wise, because since I've been 5, I've been always like an athlete, I suppose. And I just loved like working towards some sort of like sport, I suppose. So I don't know what again, but
anytime as well I've had a goal that hasn't been like physical, that's been maybe, let's say, academic. Like, I was doing my exams in college, I was doing my accountancy exams. When I had like some sort of a physical goal to go alongside with that, it actually helped all my other goals. So like I was like, you know, training for a marathon before, and like at that same time I was studying for my exams, and 2 of them, and it was the only time I studied for 2 exams and passed both of them, the accounting exams. But it was because I was in such a good routine of like getting up, banging out a couple hours study. I'd go for a run in the middle of the day. It could be like a long run, like I could go like 15k or something like that, do you know what I mean? And I'd come back, have a shower, and I'd feel so fresh after it. I'd do another bit of study, and it was like those 2 things were like helping each other and complementing each other. Like the running was making me feel so good, and it would give me a break from the study.
Yeah.
But then the next day, because I was so fresh and I was eating good and I was training hard, like it just helped everything else. So yeah, it's good to be physically active, I suppose.
Favorite pose, so bodybuilding pose, and which in your opinion is your strongest? I think for me, like my side shots at the moment are my strongest. Whether that be like my quarter turns, so like the mandatory quarter turns, or like a side chest or side try.
Yeah.
And I think it's mainly because my legs, it shows my leg density, like my leg width, and also I've strong obliques.
Very strong obliques, yeah.
And like my lines in my obliques.
Even when you were
like,
fucking 20 weeks out, you still had those obliques.
Yeah. So I think all my strongest points are show from the side, and then I have a really small waist from the side as well. So I think that's probably my strongest. My favourite, probably side chest.
Side chest. Yeah, I do like a side chest. I'd probably say like my favourite pose is probably like a front double and a back double. And I think like
back double is nice too.
Back double is probably, in my opinion, my strongest pose. Even though like I'd probably say my abs are fairly strong. So like I think like when I'm lean, like my front poses look good as a result. Like my most muscular is quite good like when I'm lean. But like I love how my back looks when I'm proper lean. Like my back carries the most amount of fat. So like in the off season, whilst my back double looks good, it's nowhere near what I think it will look like the next time I'm on stage. And I think like the mass I've added to my glutes and hamstrings, when I can get them dug out the next time, like I think my back poses will be fucking like very, very strong. But I just love hitting like a front double and a back double. I don't know what it is. I like a side chest as well, but I don't think it's like a particularly strong shot for me. So yeah.
We'll finish off this one because this has been a very long video.
Yeah.
I've actually even left out a few questions. Sweet or savoury?
Savoury all day.
I'm the exact same.
Savoury all day.
Savoury. There's so much more options.
Yeah. Anytime I get like a craving for anything, it's always like something fucking salty.
Yeah.
Like it's always like a Nando's, or you know, even like sushi is very
just going to a restaurant and getting a big fuck off meal is way better than getting like sweets.
Yeah, sweets. Or everybody post. I always see people post show and they're like, they get like pancakes or cookies or like those cookie dealers or ice creams, and like that doesn't appeal to me. It's like I want a fucking burger and chips.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? So yeah,
like a bit of savoury or a bit of sweet is nice, but like the main meat, it's always the main part is savoury. So savoury.
Yeah, savoury.
So yeah, that's the Q&A done. There was a lot of questions, to be fair, and there was actually a lot of good questions. I was surprised how much we got. So
yeah, that was quite a good Q&A. I thought
probably about a 50-minute video.
Yeah, pretty good questions though.
But
if you made it this far, thank you. Well, I thought it was a pretty good Q&A. So
yeah.
Hopefully you're watching it doing your cardio or something like that.
So yeah, they'll be the next kind of few videos, I suppose, leading up. They should be interesting videos. So yeah, I'll wrap it up there. We're going fucking way over time now. So I'll catch you in the next one.
Like, subscribe, comment on Nolan's channel.
Yep.
Peace.